We saw impressive bull run a few months ago. Then we had a significant correction, and now we are seeing the price of Bitcoin rising again. So what is your view on the current situation in the Bitcoin markets? At what point of the price cycle are we at the moment?
Well, I think I want to step back before I address it. I think we're in an early adoption phase of this digital phenomenon. And so you have something like 2% saturation. If you say there's 7.5 to 8 billion people on planet Earth and there's 125 million users. So I think we're very, very early innings. And if Kathy Wood is correct, and I think she will be, we'll have something like 1 billion users by the end of 2025. So recognizing that and studying other securities or other investment ideas that track Metcalfe's law in terms of exponential growth, there's lots of volatility. There was volatility in Facebook when it came public, volatility in Google, volatility in Amazon. Amazon is one of the more amazing investment stories. A $10,000 investment in Amazon on its IPO May 15th of 1997 is worth $21,140,000 today. Yet you would have had to subject yourselves to 8 times where Amazon dropped 50%. And so Bitcoin, it being 12 years old, it's still maturing and it's still in early adoption. So I expect a lot more volatility. Having said that, this is an asset that's gone up anywhere from 150 to 200% per year. You just have to step back from it. If you're managing it day to day or you're thinking about it week to week even, I think that's quite dangerous. And so to me, I see these coins being worth $500 to $1 million a coin over the next 5 to 10 years. So entry points below 50,000 or 60,000 are very attractive to us. And so we try to buy coins every month as we accumulate cash in our portfolios. We sweep them into Bitcoin. That's not to say that Bitcoin couldn't experience another 50% drop like it did in May of 2021. So to me, it's very early. There's more upside volatility, more asymmetrical upside volatility to Bitcoin. But again, you have to look at it over a multiple year period of time. If you're managing it week to week, you could get caught in a downdraft. And of course, if you're shaken out during a downdraft, you'll be sorely disappointed.
So now I would like to dive a little deeper into this comparison with Amazon you are making. So it didn't take Amazon 10 years to become a globally recognized company with a lot of use cases, while Bitcoin seems to be a bit slower because it's been already 10 years and we cannot say that Bitcoin reached mainstream adoption. Don't you think so?
No, I actually don't think so because, look at where Bitcoin is today, the $800+ million market cap. If you go back to when it was trading at 65,000, Bitcoin reached $1 trillion in market capitalization in 12 years. It took Amazon almost 20 years to reach that same market value, that same market capitalization. I think that we got to go back. It's easy to see Amazon as established as it is today, but I'll take you back to year 12 of Amazon, which was 2009. Amazon had dropped 90%. There was an article in the paper, Amazon being 12 years old, Amazon.bomb, that this company was not going to make it. And so we see Amazon today at age 24 with its capacity and its standing and its lacking of volatility on a relative basis compared to its historic volatility. So, to me, Bitcoin is moving faster. And I think it's moving faster because it's decentralized. There's no corporate office. There's no C-suite where there's that intrigue and bureaucracy and the weaknesses of human beings. This is a decentralized protocol, decentralized network. It's amazingly efficient. It hasn't been hacked. It's been attacked for 12 years. There's been 8,400 or so coin competitors of Bitcoin, and yet Bitcoin remains the apex predator in the space. So I don't see it that way. I think it's moving faster than Amazon, Google, and Facebook, actually. And I can just prove it to you by the charts.
Okay, so now I would like to talk about institutional adoption. After major players like MicroStrategy and Tesla getting involved with crypto months ago, we are seeing the institutional flow coming into crypto slowing down a bit. You also said that the institutional adoption story is overhyped. So can you expand a little bit on this thought? And when do you think that we are going to see the next wave of institutions coming into the space?
Yeah, well, I do believe that, and that's also grounded in evidence. If you ask somebody like Larry Fink from BlackRock, he would say that his clients have very little to no demand for Bitcoin. If you go to the large-scale institutions, there's a general reluctancy to adopt. Now, the good news is we've had some recent wins in the community. Ray Dalio, who was a skeptic, now is an investor. Dan Loeb, running a $25 billion hedge fund, was a skeptic. He's now a Bitcoiner. Steve Cohen at 0.72, the same thing. And of course, there's Paul Tudor Jones and Stan Druckenmiller. So there's very smart people that have institutional scale assets that are in Bitcoin. But the very, very large pension funds, the endowments, the public employee retirement systems, I would say they have small to little interest in Bitcoin at this time. And I think that's a scalability issue. And it would be the same thing for many of those stocks that we just mentioned. Those FANG stocks today, which are making up trillions of dollars of the overall market cap and a very large weighting of the S&P 500, in the early days, as they were being adopted, very few institutions were willing to buy them. And so institutions have a tendency to be the latest of adopters to an investment story. And, listen, last year at this time, people were talking about institutions entering the market. There was a fever pitch of that discussion in January of 2021. But the evidence just hasn't borne that out. We don't have large-scale institutions. Now, the good news is many of the banks that were in the early stages skeptical of Bitcoin are offering Bitcoin products. Jamie Dimon, as an example, was once a critic of Bitcoin. They now have a series of Bitcoin and other crypto offerings at JP Morgan. That would be the same for Wells Fargo and Bank America. So the very good news is the process itself is starting, and the institutional demand, I think, will emerge. But if I'm guessing, I still think we're 2 to 3 years away from that.
I would like to know, what is your price target for Bitcoin for the end of 2021?
Good question. So I started the year with a $100,000 price target when Bitcoin was at $65,000 in April. It seemed very likely, and then Bitcoin went to $29,000, and now it's back up to $45,000. There's 4+ months to go, roughly 3.5+ months to go in the year. I still see Bitcoin nearing 100,000. So I'm going to stick to that price point. I think it's a combination of factors, but the bottom line is you have limited and fixed supply of Bitcoin, and you have every month exponentially more demand. And so as long as I see that, I see those prices rising. So we're going to stick with a $100,000 price target.
Researchers at Skybridge Capital predicted that Bitcoin will reach 1 billion users by 2025. How are we supposed to get there? What does Bitcoin need in order to reach that benchmark?
Well, on the margin, there's always some technical improvements. All of these cryptocurrencies are going through levels of upgrades. Bitcoin, the network, recently upgraded some protocols related to Bitcoin. But I actually just see it in terms of interest and demography. And so I'll just point out to you that our children, I have adult children, I have 5 children, some of them are young, but my adult children ages range from 22 to 29, and I can tell you that they're fully versant in Bitcoin and fully versant in what I would call the crypto ecosystem. Just imagine those people 10 years from now at 39 or 49, how conversant and how easy it will be for them. And I will say this to you, that this is a technology and a product of the future. And the future is going to come more quickly than people expect.